It's Anna Marie. It's about 5:15 here, and we're about to put Ava LaRue down for a nap. Cody just got back from work, and I just got done feeding her, so we're gonna put her down for a quick nap while we cook supper, and then as soon as we're done, we'll put her in a high chair and we'll have a little family meal together. I've mentioned this before, but we are doing baby-led weaning with Ava LaRue, so that's basically where she eats whatever we eat. So today we're going to be eating spaghetti. She's not that great at eating spaghetti because she isn't very good at controlling the noodles. She holds them in her hand and they flop over the side, so she can't quite get it into her mouth. So whenever she eats peanut butter toast or green beans or something like that, it's sturdy enough for her to be able to bite down on it. But with the spaghetti noodle, it just kind of flops over and she tries to put her whole fist in her mouth, and then she ends up getting frustrated. But it's still fun just to let her explore and get all the sauce all over her face, and then we have bath time right after. So we definitely need that on spaghetti night. So we're really excited for that, and I'll try to get some clips of it as we're cooking, just so y'all can see what it looks like when I serve her. And you can see it's basically just a normal serving of spaghetti. We don't do anything pureed or anything like that, and we really like just being able to serve her whatever we're eating. So I want to show y'all that, and then I also want to do a story time, I guess, about what my pregnancy was like, what it was like to find out that I was pregnant, and just everything like that, because I want y'all to know that side of me. I want to be able to look back and remember this story. If I ever forget some of the details, then I want to be able to look back on it and see what my pregnancy was like. So we'll do spaghetti night, and then I'll come on after and tell y'all a little bit about my pregnancy. Okay, so we're getting Ava LaRue undressed because it's spaghetti night, and she always makes a mess with that. So we've got the noodles cooking, and we've got the sauce right next to it. We're about to strain them and then make us some spaghetti.
Eddie.
Usually as soon as we put it down, she already has a fistful go into her mouth. She always makes this unsure face whenever she's eating. You don't know if she likes it or not, but she keeps eating it, so we think she likes it. Spaghetti night. So now Cody and Ava LaRue are outside. He likes to go and just hit some golf balls in the backyard, and Ava LaRue sits in her bumbo seat and just kind of plays with the grass while he's doing that. So they're out there just kind of enjoying the night, and I'll usually go sit out there with them. So after I finish this, I'll probably go. But I just wanted to hop on and say the story of what it was like whenever I was pregnant. So it feels like forever ago, but Ava LaRue is only 6.5 months old, so she's not that old. It hasn't been that long since I was pregnant, and I just don't want to forget what that was like. And there were a lot of parts of it that I absolutely loved, and a few parts of it that were pretty tough, so I just want to be able to remember every detail of it. So here we go. I'm 23, and I was 22 whenever I found out that I was pregnant. I just turned 22, so I, am a pretty young mom, but I like it that way. I've always wanted to be a mom my whole life, so it feels like that's just what was supposed to happen for me. But still a pretty young mom. I just turned 22. I bought my first house whenever I was 21. I was just about to turn 22, so I bought my first house at the very beginning of April. I'd had a full-time job as a realtor at Remax Real Estate Partners for a couple of years by then. I graduated college, and then right after I graduated college, I found out that I was pregnant. So me and Cody and one of Cody's friends named Tyler all went down to the beach one weekend, and I was kind of joking about how I could be pregnant, and I was like, yeah, I'm not really that worried about it, but I could be. Isn't that wild? Yeah, I could be, but I'm probably not, not really thinking much of it. So we went down to the beach. We were just kind of hanging out by this bridge, and we would jump off the bottom part of it. It's kind of hard to describe. I'll post some videos if I have any. But we were just kind of hanging out at the beach, and I made a joke about it, and then, we didn't think anything else of it. Well, then that next week was whenever Cody was moving down to Hattiesburg. So he was moving all of his stuff in, and I came home. He was probably halfway through moving, and I came home from work, and I was actually coming home early that day because I had to go get my little sisters and take them to the airport. So they were going to Washington, D.C. and New York for a school trip. And so I was taking them to the New Orleans airport because their mom, my stepmom, and my dad had taken my other little sister to New York for her senior trip. So they were all gone, and I was going to take my youngest sisters, they're twins, to the airport for my stepmom. And we were just going to stay the night down there, maybe go and see New Orleans. I mean, we've been there before, but maybe just like go get something to eat, and then just go back to our hotel because we had to wake up early. I think they had to be at the airport at 4 or 5. So we were just going to go to the hotel and stay the night. Well, I got home at probably like 1 or 2, just trying to get there early so that I could go and get them in time to head down there and us be there in time for dinner. Well, when I got there, Cody was like halfway through moving, and he was just going to take a break and hang out with me, and his little brother Hayden was there too, and so helping him move. And so we were hanging out. We just laid down on the bed, and we're just kind of chilling out and talking and telling each other about our day. And I was telling him how there was a baby that came to work that day, and he said, there's probably a baby in your belly right now. And it was just really joking. Like, I mean, it was kind of like, we used to always say there's a baby in there, and like just kind of messing around. But anyway, so it got me to thinking, what if I really am like I could be? So I went into the bathroom and I took a pregnancy test. I didn't say anything. I was just like, you know what? I just need to rule it out. I was thinking about it this whole weekend while we were at the beach. Cody now made this remark saying that there might be, so let's just rule it out before I go down and have to stay a night in New Orleans. So I went to the bathroom, and the only pregnancy test that I had was the kind with the digital screen that either says pregnant or not pregnant. And so that one takes really like 3 or 4 minutes to load. So I went to the bathroom, and I just stuck it back in the wrapper, and I set it on the bathtub, and I just walked out. And I was helping Cody kind of unpack some things. I was packing my bag for staying the night in New Orleans really fast. And then I looked up like 10 or 15 minutes later and realized that I'd forgotten all about the test. So I was like, oh, I'll go check on it. And I walked in there, and I pulled it out of its wrapper, and it said pregnant. And I just like kept pulling it, thinking that the knot was going to show up in front of it. I was so surprised that I was pregnant, and I didn't know what to do because Cody and his little brother were right out in the other room, and I didn't even say I was taking one. So I was a little bit freaked out, but I just kind of stuck it like under my shirt, and I walked out, and Cody and his brother they had set up his Xbox in our room, and they were just kind of playing a game on his Xbox, and I kind of tapped him on the shoulder, and I said like this, and I was like, come out here. And his brother had his headphones on. He didn't even pay any attention to us. So we walked out into the kitchen, and I pulled out the pregnancy test and showed it to him. And he goes, nuh-uh. And I was like, yes, I'm pregnant. And he was like, I hope it's a boy. That was the first thing he said. And I was like, what do you mean you hope it's a boy? Like, can you believe that I'm even pregnant? And he was like, it's okay. Like, we're young, but we're stable, we love each other, we're gonna make this work. And so after that, it was all okay, and we were just excited to have a baby. I mean, there was like an initial shock, But immediately after finding out and telling him, I felt so confident in us and in our family and in our daughter. I didn't know she was going to be a girl at the time, but in our baby. And yeah, so I was really excited about that. So I was like, okay, well, I need to call Amanda. Amanda's my best friend. And so I was like, I need to call Amanda and ask her what I should do. I need to call my mom. I need to call, like, my dad. You need to call your parents. Like, because we didn't really know how to react. Like, should we tell them now? Should we go to the doctor first? What should we do? So I called Amanda to just kind of ask her opinion on it. And I was like, I'd already told her that I could be pregnant too. Told her I was worrying about it or whatever. So I called her and I was like, hey. And she was like, what's wrong? Like, she automatically knew. And I was like, are you still at the office? Because we work together. And she was like, yeah, I am. And I said, just come over as soon as you get done, or just call me as soon as you get done. And she was like, okay. Hung up her phone and called me like 2 minutes later. And she was like, okay, I'm outside. What's up? She knew what was happening. And I was like, I just took a pregnancy test and it's positive. She was so surprised. She was like, okay, well, you know, those tests aren't always accurate. Like, the digital tests are the ones that you really need to take. And I was like, yeah, it was a digital test. And she was so surprised. So she was like, okay, well, let me just go get some more tests just in case, and I'll bring them over there. So she went and grabbed some tests, and she brought them over, and I took one, and it was the 2 lines test. And, I mean, before I was done, it was positive. So I was definitely pregnant. So we called my mom, talked to her. She was really supportive. She was like, you know what, same thing kind of that Cody said. Y'all are young, but you've got your own house. You've got stable jobs. You love each other. There's definitely been, you know, harder situations on people. So we called his parents, and they were both so excited. We called his dad first. We just FaceTimed him, and he told him, and he was like, oh my gosh, no way. He was so excited. He couldn't wait to be a grandpa. And then we also called his mom, and she started crying because she was so excited to have a grandbaby. So we didn't want to call my dad because we weren't telling any siblings until we had gone to the doctor and confirmed everything. And my sister was with him in New York, so I didn't want her to find out that way and then it not really be true. So my stepmom and my sister were coming back from New York the next day, but my dad wasn't coming back until a week later because he also had a trip to Washington planned for some of his home builder stuff because he's a home builder and he had to go to the national convention. So my stepmom came home the next day, and I went straight into the office. She also works there. I went straight into the office, and I told her, and I was like, what should I do? Should I wait till Dad gets here and tell him in person? Should I call him? What should I do? And she was like, call him. He has a baseball game today, so that's going to be his only break between meetings. Why don't you call him then? And so I was like, okay, that sounds good. She was like, also, I feel like you should just go to the doctor and get a blood test just to confirm. So I went to the doctor, and I got a blood test, and it said positive. And I called my dad at the time that the baseball game was, and of course he couldn't hear me because it was a super big crowd. So I was like, I'm pregnant, and he was like, what? And I was like, I'm pregnant, and that just kept happening. So then he goes to the bathroom, and I finally tell him, and he was really excited and supportive too. So we are so lucky to have so much support and such great grandparents for our sweet girl. So anyway, back to the night that we found out, I called my mom, and I had told her about it, called his parents, and we were waiting to call my dad. And by the time that we got done with all this, it's like 5 o'clock, and my sisters are still waiting on me. I mean, this has been 4 hours, and they wanted to go get dinner in New Orleans. So I'm like rushing to get packed, and I'm like, okay, well, I guess I'll see you tomorrow. I hate to have to leave, but, you know, I've got to take them to New Orleans. So I go and I pick them up, and we don't make it in time to get any dinner. In New Orleans at least, we stopped at Waffle House on the way there and just ate, and I felt so bad because I couldn't even tell them why. I was just like, hey guys, and just had to, like, I don't know, pretend that I wasn't late. I felt so bad. I really did not mean to do that to them. So I did feel bad about that, but we finally got down to New Orleans, stayed the night. I took them to the airport the next morning, and then had to drive back. And Cody was moved into Hattiesburg, so whenever I came back, he was there. And I went to work, and I was telling my stepmom about it, and she told me I should go get a blood test. So I went to the doctor. They took my blood, and then they called us about an hour later, and they told us that it was positive and we were pregnant. And thus began the wildest journey of them all. We have had so much fun with our little baby girl, and we love her so much. And that was just the beginning of all of it. So I wanted to kind of do a vlog on what my whole pregnancy was like too, but this one's been kind of long, so I think I'll just save that for a later date. But yeah, it was a pretty wild ride, and we just love our life now. So I'll see you all next week. Bye.